Gaming used to be something almost everybody could afford, but in 2025 it's starting to feel like a luxury hobby. Nintendo Switch 2 is $449.99 for just the console, and Mario Kart World launched at an $80 price point. Even older Switch consoles are somehow more expensive than they used to be. Nintendo is breaking the traditional rules of pricing, and the wildest part is people are still lining up to pay. But how far can this go before fans push back? Especially when games like Fortnite, Roblox and Minecraft are completely free. Well, if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button down below for even more Nintendo content here on Power Up Direct. Well, Nintendo is in a moment of unprecedented success. The Switch has sold over 150 million units, making it one of the best-selling consoles of all time. Its library of games, from Breath of the Wild to Animal Crossing and Mario Kart, has defined a generation for players. Now, for nearly a decade, Nintendo has dominated the conversation about gaming without ever needing the raw power of the latest PlayStation or an Xbox. This success has given Nintendo a kind of confidence that we haven't seen in a while. They know their franchises are cultural icons. We've got Mario, Zelda, Pokemon. These names generate guaranteed sales on a level almost no other gaming brand can match. When a new Nintendo title launches, it isn't just a release, it's an event. And when you hold that much cultural power, you can afford to push the boundaries on price. It's also worth noting Nintendo's success isn't just about games. It's also about trust. Fans believe that when they buy a Nintendo product, they're getting something polished, creative, and most likely replayable. That brand trust gives Nintendo the freedom to experiment with higher prices because people believe their games are worth it. But this moment of power is a double-edged sword. The higher Nintendo climbs, the more it risks fans starting to feel like they're being taken for granted. Right now, Nintendo is walking a tightrope between maximising profits and maintaining goodwill. Well, next up we've got breaking the pricing rules. So Nintendo have always played by its own rules, but lately it's been rewriting the rulebook entirely when it comes to price. The Switch 2 launched at $449.99, a full $50 higher than what most people expected. And that might not sound like much on paper, but in the console market those jumps matter, especially when competitors like Sony and Microsoft have struggled to justify their own price hikes. Then we got the games. So for decades, $50, $60 was the standard ceiling for a new release, but with Mario Kart World, Nintendo crossed a new line, introducing the first $80 price tag in history. And that single move shifts the expectations of what fans might pay moving forward, and it sets a precedent for other publishers to follow. So I would imagine that Rockstar Games are looking at that price, licking their lips and thinking GTA 6, well, that can just release at $100. What makes this pricing strategy even stranger is how Nintendo handles older hardware and games. Traditionally, when a new console comes out, the old one gets cheaper to clear shelves and attract new players. Instead, original Switch prices actually went up after the Switch 2 was released, with models climbing by as much as 15%. And it's a really bold and almost unheard of move in the gaming industry. And it doesn't stop there. Nintendo have been charging $40 for reissues of older titles, with the upcoming Super Mario Galaxy and Galaxy 2, Metroid Prime, games that first released decades ago. Most companies bundle these remasters or offer them as budget-friendly classics. Nintendo, on the other hand, treats them like premium products. It's another way they flipped the traditional pricing script. And don't get me started on Amiibo. They're $30, $40, $50. The pricing strategy from Nintendo at the moment is absolutely crazy. Together, these moves show that Nintendo isn't just bending the rules of gaming economics, they're testing how far loyalty and nostalgia can stretch the wallets of their fans. Well, next up, let's have a look at why prices are rising. So there are definitely real-world factors driving the price increases. Tariffs in the United States have raised the cost of importing electronics, and the inflation worldwide has made everything from shipping to materials more expensive. Simply put, it costs more to make and sell a console in 2025 than it did in 2017, when the original Nintendo Switch launched. Development costs are also climbing. Modern games demand larger teams, longer production cycles, and more advanced technology. Even though Nintendo's games don't always chase the photorealistic graphics like Sony or Microsoft, their polish and scope still requires years of work and huge budgets. Raising the price of games is one way to cover those rising costs. It's also important to see this in the context of the wider industry. Sony and Microsoft have already pushed the standard game price from $60 to $70, and publishers across the board have experimented with deluxe editions, season passes, microtransactions to offset the ballooning expenses. But Nintendo's $80 price point for games and $449 for the console are just the next step in a trend that we've been watching for years. But here is the key difference. Nintendo doesn't just raise prices because it has to, it raises prices because it can. The brand's fan base is uniquely loyal, and the demand for Nintendo games rarely fades. When you're sitting on franchises from Nintendo, like Animal Crossing, Metroid, Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, you've got all the freedom to go further than your competitors. Well, next up we got the risk factor. So the danger for Nintendo is that not every gamer is willing or able to keep up with the rising costs. For families especially, paying $449 for a new console and $80 for games starts to feel less like a fun purchase and more like a serious investment. And that is where free-to-play games like Fortnite, Roblox and Minecraft come in. They offer endless hours of content at no upfront cost, and they're especially appealing to younger audiences who might never step into the Nintendo ecosystem. This shift in consumer behaviour is quite critical. A generation growing up on free or cheap games could start to see Nintendo as overpriced or out of touch. The risk isn't that Mario or Zelda suddenly stop selling, they're always going to attract core fans, but it's that Nintendo slowly loses the mindshare among players who spend their time and money in other ecosystems. If a teenager can play with their friends on Roblox for free, what incentive is there to buy a $40 remaster for a 15-year-old Mario game? Nintendo also faces the potential backlash from within its own fanbase. Enthusiasts may tolerate one or two price hikes, but if every new console and game feels like it's pushing the limit, frustration could definitely grow. The higher the price climbs, the higher the expectation for quality and innovation, and if Nintendo slips, the goodwill it has built up could vanish very quickly. So while Nintendo is in a position of strength today, it's also taking a gamble. By pushing at pricing boundaries, it risks alienating price-sensitive players and opening the door for free-to-play giants to capture even more of the gaming market. The question is whether Nintendo's magic is strong enough to overcome the economic reality of gaming in 2025. Well, finally, let's have a look at the bigger picture. So gaming has always been seen as a mainstream hobby, something accessible to almost anyone with a console or a PC. But the trend we're seeing now, especially with Nintendo's aggressive pricing, highlights a shift that gaming is turning into a luxury hobby. While the cost of entry is hundreds of dollars for hardware and nearly $100 for a single game, the barrier is higher than ever. Nintendo can get away with this because they're in a unique position. No other company has the kind of cultural power that Zelda or Pokemon carry. These franchises are household names, instantly recognisable across generations, and that brand recognition allows Nintendo to charge premium prices that other publishers could only dream of. In a way, they've carved out their own luxury market inside gaming. But this does have a ripple effect, so if Nintendo normalises $80 games and expensive consoles, what does that mean for the industry as a whole? Publishers and competitors may see this as permission to push prices even higher, and we're already seeing that from Sony and Microsoft. For gamers, the result could be a future where premium story-driven titles become niche products for those that can afford them, while everyone else is playing in the free-to-play ecosystems. At the same time, the value of gaming is being redefined. For many players, Roblox, Minecraft and Fortnite offer just as much, if not more, long-term entertainment than a premium $80 title. That raises tough questions. If people can play for free forever, how sustainable is a world where major companies keep rising prices? Nintendo's moment of power is undeniable, but the bigger picture is about more than one company. It's about where gaming as a whole is headed, and whether rising costs will make this hobby something only a select group of people can enjoy. Nintendo's strategy proves just how much power the brand still holds. Fans are willing to pay premium prices because they trust the quality of the games, but every price hike pushes gaming further into luxury territory, and that raises questions about accessibility and also value. The real issue isn't whether Nintendo can charge more, it's what happens to the industry if everyone follows their lead. So, what do you think? Are you going to be paying $80 for your Nintendo games, or is that the point where you draw the line? Let me know in the comments and I would love to hear what you think. Well, that is it for this video today, looking at why Nintendo prices keep going up and why we keep paying. And thank you so much for watching or for listening. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below for even more Nintendo content here on Power Up Direct. Thanks again, and I'll see you real soon.